What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Happy Saturday. Happy hot weather. If you're here in England, it's going to be an absolute scorcher. I hope you lot are doing good. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. And it's time for your daily dose of Manchester United transfer news. And today, we actually do have a big development. And I mean a significant development with Raphaël Varane. Man United have reportedly, and this is to some big outlets as well, reliable, reputable outlets, have put a 5-year deal down to Raphaël Varane, and he has accepted that. For you guys, reference points, the sources coming in saying this is obviously the Don Fabrizio Romano. It says Man United are preparing an official bid for Real Madrid for Raphaël Varane. After direct talks for 4 days, United have proposed a contract until 2026, which is 5 years, and Varane would accept it if the clubs reach an agreement. Even more on that, we had David Alonso from Transistor OC, which is an outlet out there in Spain, saying Raphaël Varane to Man United is imminent. The deal will be closed in the next few days for about 50 million. And even more on top of that, we had Berger from Sport 1 in Germany, and he says Raphaël Varane is on the verge of joining Manchester United. Varane has agreed personal terms with a contract until 2026. Now it's for the clubs to find a solution, etc., etc. So I think the key development is not Man United are in for Varane. Let me just clear this up. The key development is not Man United have agreed a fee. The key development is not he's on his way for a medical. The key development is the length of the contract put down and that Varane has accepted this deal. I think that's a massive step in the right direction. And 5 years, 5 years is a long time, is a big contract, and it's a contract. I think that contract is a statement. It's a statement to say, we know how good you are and we want you. It's as simple as that. Some people have said, not really sure about Varane flex because of his injury record, etc. Not really sure because every 5 games, I saw someone said he could have one bad game. There's only a few people that I've seen on social media and just in conversations back and forth with fans who are reluctant to get Varane. But what this does, from a club point of view, if you're Raphaël Varane and you want to know just how much Manchester United want you and want to sell the project to you, here's 5 years. Here's 5 years at whatever it is they've agreed for the salary. I don't know that, so I'm not going to make it up. My guess, this is just in my opinion, my guess with his salary's got to be over 220k. Easy, in my opinion. Probably upwards of that. But to say, here's a 5-year deal, here's the money that you want, sign this, get this signed, and we'll go and make it happen with Real Madrid. I think that's the biggest insight yet, or biggest bit of positivity coming out of the deal so far. We can hear to the cows come home, it depends on Real Madrid's valuation. We can hear to the cows come home, well, if Man United make a bid, Varane would sign. I mean, look, from reputable people like Dimarzio, from reputable people like obviously Romano and etc. I saw Fjortoff retweeting another journalist sort of saying that I can confirm that this is the case. When you see these types of journalists, even journalists here in England, I mean, usually we're a little bit slower or a little bit more reluctant to actually get news like that out. I think that stems from our journalists are obviously in more with the club rather than agents and closer to the players, etc. Like your Romanos, your Dimarzios, etc. Your Fjortoffs, your Falks. Those guys are more agent based as opposed to, and they're specialist clubs within their own countries, etc. If it's Italy, Romano, if it's Germany, Falk, etc., Dimarzio, etc. But with our outlets, I think we take a little bit longer because I feel like we have a direct line in with the club, and the club are obviously going to give out less information than an agent, than people close to a player, than maybe the selling club from a foreign domestic league. So I think that's why our journalists are a little bit slow. But the fact that we're seeing these types of reports from the journalists abroad, the heavy hitters, I think there's real big substance in that. And the fact that Manchester United have put down that marker to say we want the player is huge. It's huge. And I will go on record as saying this is the first real time I've felt quietly confident about this Varane deal. But now I'm seeing we've offered him a 5-year deal and he said yes. And all it is now is to really get the fee. And also there was more reports yesterday that I read about Perez having a good relationship with Manchester United, and both parties feel comfortable and relaxed that they can reach an agreement because Real Madrid want a little bit more than 50 million euros. We want to pay a little bit less. Like I said, I can't remember, a couple of shows ago, and I was like, look, I have no problem with Manchester United going in lower and trying to play a little bit of hardball. We've secured the player in terms of knowing he wants to come to us. We've managed to sort out how long he's going to be there for. And if there was any doubt in our minds as to what our intentions were, that's why I'm even more pleased with this, because we could have just said, oh, mate, you do have dodgy knees sometimes, or in the past you've had injury doubts, etc. We'll give you a 2-year with an extension for a third, which to the player would be like, this is my last big move. Raphaël Varane is what, 28 years of age? This is my last big move, and I want to get this right. I want to secure the bag for my family, etc., etc. And this does that. This is if you're Varane and you're away with your family, and you're discussing, you're discussing with your family, how long should I stay for my next contract? What should we do? Where are we going to be at? How's it going to work with your family? If someone puts a 2-year on the table with maybe an extension to a third, or Man United just come through and slap a 5-year, you've got that instant security, but not even just financially, because I know we shouldn't think about that, but it's just another side of the coin that us fans sometimes forget. These are players with livelihoods who need to protect their families. You need to make sure their families eat and live, and their life after football is good. So they're always going to have one eye on how much the contract is going to be. Of course, anyone does that in any job, but it's the vote of confidence. It's not just the money; it's the vote of confidence. To give someone a 5-year deal, you have massive confidence in them. When Tottenham gave Harry Kane a 6-year deal because he was that important. When we renegotiate for Luke Shaw, I dare say it'll be like a 3-year extension. When we renegotiate for Bruno, same thing. We're trying to renegotiate for Pogba. At his age, what is he? 28 as well, 27, 28. And I'll talk a little bit about Pogba later on in the show, but I dare say it's going to be a considerable amount of years. This is his last big contract. So it's all about how you make the player feel. And I think we've done a really good job, from what I can read from the outside looking in, from all the reports that you guys have access to as well. I just feel that we're doing a really good job of showing intent, and not just hearsay intent, not just words, actions. Bam, here's a 5-year deal. We want you. If you're Varane and you had any second thoughts of whether Manchester United would be the right place to come, I think that sways you. He's obviously clearly had discussions with the manager, and Ollie would have told him exactly how he's going to fit into the team. Obviously, I can't imagine him coming and not being the starting right centre-back next to Harry Maguire. He would have been told all those things. But again, one thing is being told all of those things, but then it's like, okay, what are you putting on the table? What are you putting on the table? You told me you want me, Man United. You told me you'd love me to come. You told me that you think I can fit the team, I fit the profile, etc. I fit the criteria. What are you putting on the table? And we've gone, bang, hold that, 5 years. So for me, as KG would say, it feels a bit different. It feels a bit different. I really like it. I spoke yesterday with Per, which was a great interview, by the way, as well. And I know a lot of you guys really enjoyed that. And I really did as well, because it is good to get a different perspective. I think we all kind of know what the news is in regarding transfers, unless somebody is friends with a player, then, and really has the inside scoop. We know what we know. But I thought it was really good to hear Per talk about the conversations he's had with Ollie in interviews and away from interviews about tactical situations and how he wants to change, and that he just needs the players to do so. But we've always known that since Ollie's come, to be fair. And it's only now that it's taken this long, nearly 3 years, for him to be able to get into a position to move that on. So I really enjoyed that talk. But we know what we know about the transfers. Back to the Varane situation, and I just feel like this is the first big development. I think the developments of since we first heard that they're in talks and things are ongoing, and maybe there's a deal agreed, but we're waiting for Real Madrid to sit down and agree a fee, which we still are. But this is like the first concrete bit of progress, i.e., bang, 5-year deal. He's accepted the terms. Man United just need to agree a fee with Real Madrid. To me, football's a funny game, and until he's holding the shirt, you can never be 100% sure. Of course not. But with the noises, it would take something really catastrophic for this deal not to go through. I believe, in my opinion. I can't see it not happening now. Honestly, the noise, when you just hear so many good, positive noises about a transfer, that it surely nothing can go wrong apart from failing the medical or Varane, touch wood, has an injury with his family on a boat or playing tennis on his holidays. I can't see how it doesn't happen. So I'm really excited about it. And like I said, I'm kind of thinking a bit too far forward here, but you know, forget it. It's Saturday morning. The sun's out. It's going to be a great weekend. I am going to get excited. I'm thinking of that reveal video, not reveal video, but that done deal video that we'll do here on United View, if and slash when Varane signs. And I'm just gonna be mad excited. You guys know how I felt about this Varane thing. I've been riding out from the beginning of this, even before, like, when it was a thing of like towards the back end of last season that he could be available, etc. And it wasn't really spoken about loads, but we was all having our opinions on, oh, that would be good. I was like 110% in from then. I'm like, Varane, we can get him for like 50 million in the summer because he's going into his last year at Real Madrid. Obviously, we didn't know where Real Madrid was at then in terms of whether they were going to win the league or not, how far they were going to go in the Champions League. I think they were just coming up to play Chelsea at that point. They'd just beaten Liverpool, or even maybe during the 2 games they had against Liverpool. I think it was kind of being spoken about then and a little bit before. Just a little hint. Even from then, I was like, rah, if he's available at any cost, I say any cost, but at those kind of prices, he would be my priority over Jadon Sancho. And look, we've signed Jadon Sancho, so I've dropped that whole thing. I was more talking about that before Jadon Sancho signed, and I think Jadon Sancho was the priority just because it rolled on it was a continuation from the saga from last year. So I understand that. And I'm not going to get on my high horse and think, and, you know, I was never going to moan when we signed Jadon Sancho just because I had an opinion that Varane should have been my priority and say, oh, why have we signed for Sancho first? I was like, let's chill. Cool. We've got Jadon Sancho, which is a fantastic acquisition. Let's see what we do now. And you have to say, since we've signed Jadon Sancho, who we still haven't officially revealed yet, but that's obviously been filmed and on its way. Since we've signed him, we've been really aggressive in getting Varane. And to be fair, we can stand by what we say as fans about how this club is run. Absolutely, because the evidence is there. So it's our right to hold that opinion and to still hold it, because this is the first transfer window that looks like it can be one of a success. But you still have to, I think, have a balance view as a fan and say, okay, cool, I want my club to do better. I want my club to be more efficient in the transfer market. I want us to be more aggressive, and I want us to be more efficient in the transfer window. So far, we're showing signs that we are going to do that. We're not at the end of the transfer window yet. So if the Varane situation falls through and then we don't get a centre-half, if we don't get a central midfielder, etc., if we don't get a backup right back, or it just falls on the wayside and we only end up with Jadon Sancho, then it's been another bad summer in my opinion. But Jadon Sancho will help. But as it stands, if we complete this deal like it looks like we're going to, that's 2 big names through the door. Now, I'm not saying forget about everything that's happened, but what you do have to do is look at the likes of John Murtough or Matt Judge, or if it's the last bits of what Ed Woodward's doing before he leaves, and Dan Fletcher. We said when these guys stepped in and vice versa, Ed Woodward stepped out, we will wait to see how transfers are done. We finished second, we didn't get a trophy again. How are we going to react? Can we see us get linked with big names and get the big names over the line? Bearing in mind, we have lost 150 million quid worth in the corona pandemic, which is the same for every other club. And so far, hear me out, so far, we're looking really aggressive. We're looking aggressive. There's a long way to go, but I'm just saying the early signs, I'm not too proud. Well, it's not even about being proud. It's out of wanting the best for the club. If we can get transfer windows like this most of the time, obviously it's difficult to do it all the time, but show intent and get big names over the line. That's what we want. Invest the money into the squad. Are the Glazers forgiven? Of course not. That's going to take years and years of rebuilding the relationship with the fans, and also not just rebuilding, reform. That's going to take restructure of how the fans interact with the owners and, you know, the shared ownership and all of that stuff. That has not gone away. I need to make that very clear. But whilst we're in a transfer window, what we're supposed to do as fans, be like, oh, we've just spent £77 million on Jadon Sancho. Oh, that's crap. No, we're still not making any moves. Oh, we've just spent 50 million on Raphaël Varane, world-class centre-half. No, we're still not. I'm still not happy. You can't. I don't believe you should be like that. I believe that we should all stand by what we said. In the diabolical farce of the Super League and the greedy owners and and all of that stuff, because that happened. That can't be erased. That happened. But if you see us making moves, you have to commend the moves in isolation, and that is, I commend John Murtaugh, I commend Darren Fletcher, I commend Ollie for wanting to go and get these players. And then you have to say, do you commend the board or / the Glazers for freeing up the money to go and get these players? I don't commend them, because they should be doing that. We're Manchester United Football Club. We should be in for big players. We should be in for the best players in the world. So I don't commend those guys for doing that. But in a time where we haven't been able to do that or have been held back, I commend people like Ollie and the backroom staff and Mick Phelan and whoever's going to the people higher up to say, these are the players that we think we need and we should be in for. I commend those guys. So yeah, to finish off on Varane, I am buzzing about it. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to happen. I could be totally wrong. It could just, you never know. But I just don't see how this is not going to happen. So if you're just joining us, to finish off on Varane, he has agreed a 5-year deal to join Manchester United. So they have the agreement between the player and our club. And then we're just now waiting to go and sit down with Real Madrid and agree the fee. I was basically saying at the top of the video, if you're just joining, that I think this is a massive, significant piece of progression, because we've slapped a 5-year deal down and said, boom, hold that. That shows trust. That shows loyalty. That shows belief, you know? And it shows intent as well. So I like that. Moving on, it was a little bit on Paul Pogba. This was from The Athletic. I didn't want it to be the headline because I think there will be more to come from this, but I did see this from The Athletic, and they basically say a return to Paris is not thought to appeal to Paul Pogba, which is, you know, in contradiction to not The Athletic, but to a lot of outlets we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks regarding Paul Pogba, that he is basically wooed and wowed by the project of PSG. But The Athletic claim the opposite. And this is why I think we don't know. We don't know about this. I don't think there's a strong way to go on this either or. Maybe leaning towards more staying. You know, the talk I had with Per yesterday was interesting. He thinks that Paul Pogba will stay even if he doesn't sign a contract. You know, and then maybe try and get the first 6 months of the season out the way by showing him we've got Varane, we've got Sancho, we've got a different defensive midfielder, we're playing a different formation, he's more free, and then we're having a good start to the season, and then try and renegotiate before January. He thinks it will maybe take that turn. He can't see him leaving this summer. But this is what The Athletic had to say. A return to Paris is not thought to appeal to Paul Pogba at present, and Man United are making efforts to retain him, which we know. Sources believe he is open to staying, which is good, and depending on what you think. And United are measuring the potential cost of a replacement that important against the price of keeping him. And that, I think, is why I think Manchester United will go all out to keep him. That's one thing. The Pogba saga is something that's obviously going to go on and on and on because he hasn't signed. But I was always maintaining the fact that I'm sure Manchester United would want to keep him, because he's gone into the last year of his contract. If we sell him, like I said, if he doesn't want to sign, which I think we should, he's going to go for like 50 million, which, you know, 50 million to then go and get someone as good as Paul Pogba or try to fill that void is probably not enough. You need a stellar signing. Who even is that signing if Paul Pogba leaves? A lot of people say Jack Grealish. Even if you wanted to go and get Jack Grealish, that's going to cost 90 million. So Man United will want to avoid at all costs, I think, selling Paul Pogba. And like The Athletic are saying there, which is interesting, which I would agree with, versus the price of keeping him. You know, they don't have to pay a transfer fee. They already pay him, 200k a week. They'll probably have to double that, there or thereabouts. But doubling that over the course of 3 years is not going to be as much as selling him, having to find a replacement for 80, 90 plus million, plus pay that player what you was going to pay Pogba, or maybe a little bit less. So I think it makes good business sense to keep Paul Pogba. To me, it makes good football sense to keep Paul Pogba. I would retain him all day. Especially with the squad that we're building. I know we've been here before saying, yeah, but when we got Pogba, we got Lukaku, we got this player, we got Zlatan, we got this, and it never quite materialises. I understand that. But I just feel like you add Jadon Sancho into that, which we have, you add Raphaël Varane and another defensive midfielder, and then you change the formation. That's the key for me, this change of formation. I really want to see if this is true. I believe there's an intention for Molly to do it. I mean, a lot of sources are saying that. And like I said, Per's not going to lie to us. I definitely believe him. He said it well. He said it to him in interviews and off camera. So I do believe Per. So there's definitely an intention of doing it, but an intention versus reality and putting it into practice, we shall see in these preseason games coming up. Maybe not the one against Derby coming up, but I certainly think by the time we get to the two at home against Everton and Brentford, by then I think we should have a clear idea. Who knows? Let's see how we line up against Derby, how we line up against, who else is it? Preston North End, QPR. I just want to see what formation we adopt, because that will be an indication of what we're looking to maybe do. You can't read into it too much, but if he consistently plays the same formation, maybe not after 1 or 2 games, but if it's the 3rd, 4th pre-season game and we're still playing a 4-3-3, fingers crossed, then I think you have to look at it and say, right, he really is looking to change this. And then when the players who went into the latter stages of the European Championships come back, we'll see how they're slotted into the formation. Also, a quick update on those players. The English players are coming back on August the 1st, is what was being reported in the media. August the 1st, they'll be back for pre-season, which would leave around, 13 days? I think we kick off on the 14th of August, or thereabouts, second weekend of August. So, and Fred comes back a day later from the Copa America. So they'll have 2 weeks kind of to get up to speed. Those first teamers, those starting 11 players that I would like to call them. Bruno probably would obviously be back earlier than that, to be fair. Cavani will be back earlier than that. But the English players will come back then. Shaw, Maguire, Rashford. Rashford we don't know, depending on what happens with his situation with his operation, which I really do hope he gets, by the way. So yeah, on that, Paul Pogba, a little brief update. We'll obviously be all keeping our eyes peeled out and our ears peeled out for the developments in the coming weeks. But I definitely agree that there's a willingness for Manchester United to keep him. I think that's always been the case. But interesting to see somebody report kind of in opposition to a lot of the reports previous that Paul Pogba isn't that keen on going to PSG. I think the truth is, who really knows? I think the truth is, watch this space. Moving on, the last little bit about Alex Telles, man. This I found really interesting, and this is from Fabrizio Romano and Di Marzio, both claiming this. Fabrizio Romano says Inter Milan have asked Manchester United for Alex Telles on loan, but United are still reluctant. And this is from Di Marzio, says Alex Telles is wanted by Inter Milan. The deal would be a loan, and Telles would gladly return to Inter. There have been contracts between the parties, and now all that remains is to understand if a deal can move forward. So there's been contacts between parties. I just feel with that one, look, Telles, obviously as a professional, is going to want to play football. He's come to Manchester United with the best intentions. He's seen Luke Shaw reach an astonishing level, and he can't get a sniff. And rightly so, because Shaw's been that good. Rightly so. So I don't see that being a surprise that he might think, maybe this isn't for me. Can't I just go to Inter on loan or something and go back there and play? So I don't blame him for that. But the issue I have with this is we'll be back to square one again with not having a replacement for Luke Shaw. Now listen, touch wood, right? Because I don't even want to put it into the atmosphere that Luke Shaw could potentially get an injury, because he's had such a bad time of injuries. But this is the first time where he's probably been injury free for like a year and a half, maybe just below that, consistently injury free, playing week in, week out, like not even so much as a knock, but it can always happen at any moment. And Brandon Williams, clearly they're trying to loan him out, but it's not looking like it's going to happen with Southampton because they can't agree the terms. But they don't want to sell him, they want to loan him. Who's going to be the backup left back if we let him go? We're already trying to get a backup right back in case Wan-Bissaka gets an injury. Again, touch wood, he's super reliable, super durable. That hasn't happened yet. That worries me. That really does worry me. So I don't begrudge Telles, but in terms of the squad, I would be really nervous, because it would just be just our luck. Our back four is set, especially when you get Varane, our back four is set. It's as good as anyone's in the Premier League. Some may argue that it's even the best. It would go down to the performances on throughout the season, because on paper, it's up there with I would argue, with anyone. If you have Luke Shaw, Varane, Maguire, and Wan-Bissaka, even Trippier, whoever it is, it's up there. But if there's an injury to one of them, it's severely weakened with the options that we currently have. Axel Tuanzebe is not a right back. He's going to go on loan, which I've spoke about. Diogo Dalot, it will be weakened because he doesn't play week in, week out, and defensively he's not great. But I would have been willing to keep him just to save the peas. Left back, if Luke Shaw comes out and Brandon Williams has to play there, you drop tenfold. Telles is not a bad replacement. Even though he's not Luke Shaw, he's not a bad replacement, which is why we got him last year. So I would like to just see him stay. Obviously, me as a fan, I'm thinking of a selfish point of view. From the club point of view, it's best for us that he stays. But clearly, if there's an issue inside and he's knocking on Ollie's door, Ollie's going to want to sort the problem. Does Ollie get ruthless and say, listen, Alex, you're not going anywhere this year because we really do need you to be ready to step in at any moment. I'll play you in all the cup games. I'll play you in Carabao Cup. I'll play you in FA Cup. And Luke Shaw's going to play all the Premier League games and Champions League games. Does he say that? I don't know. It depends how Ollie's feeling about the situation and whether, if he lets him go, what's his plan? You know, is it to then, okay, well, we'll just keep Brandon Williams and and hope that Luke Shaw doesn't get injured too tough and Brandon Williams can play in the Carabao Cup or get a little bit. But by the sounds of it, they want Brandon Williams to kick on and get some first team football, which I agree with. I think he'd be great in the Prem week in, week out, playing for maybe a team who's just come up, a mid-table team. Southampton would have been perfect. They've just lost Bertrand, haven't they? So he would have been perfect because Bertrand went to Leicester on a free, by the way, which is nuts. So yeah, I would expect Tellers to stay if Brandon Williams is going to go out on loan. But maybe behind the scenes Brandon Williams isn't going to go out on loan, and then they want to sell Tellers because they didn't think it would work out. But apparently we're reluctant to look at the loan. So yeah, that's your latest Manchester United transfer update. I'm getting excited about Varane. You guys know how I feel about that transfer, as well as you do as well. And you know what? I just want to finish off on a positive and just some nice vibes. I just want to thank you all. Simple as that. The messages I receive in DMs, the messages on the comments on the videos, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever. Just bare love, just so much love. And I just appreciate every single one of you. I can't always respond to everything because I'm just inundated with just positivity and you know, people saying keep doing well. And that really means a lot. It's as simple as that. I just wanted to thank you a lot. So yeah, enjoy the weather. If you're watching from here in the UK, it's going to be an absolute scorcher for the next few days. If you're not and you're watching in a hot country already, I'm jealous, but there you go. Enjoy yourself. And if you're watching from somewhere where you're going through stuff, you could be watching from South Africa where some stuff happened and there's some stuff going on in Cuba or wherever in the world. If it's difficult where you are and these videos give you joy and stuff like that, try and find the positives and you know, hopefully you'll be okay. So big up to you as well. Guys, smash a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, bottom right hand corner, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. I am out of it. Peace.